Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's July the 11th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and we had a crazy sell-off today. I didn't go look at the news to see what it was. It doesn't matter. I'm sure there was some kind of news item or something that caused it to sell off, but it really doesn't matter. What matters is that we got a nice sell-off, and there was an easy way to catch this up here. There was a nice setup. You figure you're only going to get a scalp out of it, or maybe ride it back down to the lows. But man, this thing just took off, and there's a it went higher here, and then turned and went out the other side. I don't think you can enter there though, and that's really the only chance you get to enter there. You just can't enter you know, try to catch a falling knife like this. Because you're probably going to get burned if you do most times. Just by the time you finally say, hey, I can't watch it anymore, I got to get in, is when it'll reverse on you. It's really hard to enter down here. You almost need a reversal pattern. But with that bullish of a bar being that far away from the EMA, no retest of this. Notice how we came back and retested it here. Um, and you do get a reversal pattern, but by the time you do, you're just going sideways and you get too much congestion there. So it turns out to be a short trap, and you just get a chance to go long again. So um, you just don't really get a chance to get much of this other than the reversal, and then I'll talk about this when we get there. But there's not much happening today. If you got this one trade, it's all you needed. But if you didn't catch it right here, you probably don't get a chance to enter this. And you just have to kind of watch it go. You could argue for this to be green here. It is somewhat of a breakout pullback short, but we don't really retest that breakout area right there. And so, there's a good chance it turns lower and turns back up and traps you to the short side. It's just dangerous going short at the very low of the day. Um, so I just don't see any really safe way to enter that. And you might have considered going short here if you had a little better setup than me. You might look at this like a failed second entry long. There's two measured legs down, but you really got enough to get a scalp there, so you can't even do that. And then you're almost going sideways. That's a fairly bearish bar, and it still gives you a chance to enter below the signal bar. So you might consider entering there. Um, you might let it break lower and try to get a tick or two better entry to make up for this being one tick lower than here. So in that case, you might consider that one being green. So in that case, you might go short there. You barely got enough room to get out before the next low. But like I said, if you used the limit order, you might have got a tick or two better. Notice we get a break here of this channel, then you move to a new low. And I got a couple of people that sent me something, and they were looking at it like so. And you see that this it doesn't look bad. You actually look like you're getting a confirmation here, but you don't want to go short right into that low, and then it just bounces real quick. And when it bounces real quick, then disregard this. So if you were looking at it like that, that's the only thing you got to go on, is that you can't enter right there. Even though it's a lower high, it's right into the lows. You just don't have room. And when it bounces here and just keeps going, then you just want to forget about it and say, hey, it really looked like a range day already. Especially if you look at this shorter term one and the break and the move to a new low, then you're looking for a reversal. And so even though you couldn't completely write this off, maybe if you were looking at it and missed the other one, there's still enough reasons to kind of kick it out after we bounced right here. So, but anyway, notice the new low. Then you get a higher low here, and then we come back and test it again and it's actually a little bit higher low here and a real bullish bar. So there's your failed second entry short. If you were looking at this as a second entry short, look at your trend line. Notice that you've already had a break here and a new low. Look at the double bottom. You're going short right into that without enough room to scalp out. You're better off just to skip that trade. Even if you think prices are going lower, just wait and see what happens, and you get the move up, and then you come back. It wasn't quite through the EMA, a lot of people probably weren't 100% convinced about a long yet either, But when it comes back and fails and goes higher again, now you got people jumping on. You can see how it rushes up right there. And we move up. We actually have a double bottom and some resistance here, and we push through that. And it looks like we're going to go further, and it just turns out to be a failure. Um, I don't have my line there, but if you put your lines across there, you can see that support resistance line. And it looks like it might go higher, but look what happens. You pull back, you get a first entry, and then you never really get the second entry. You could consider that a second entry with a slightly lower high, but you don't want to go long into that double top. And when it breaks higher and turns down, that's enough reason to consider short, especially since you had a break out of this little trading range type. Uh, this is a trade. We're going sideways here, so and so you're looking for prices to probably come back inside here, maybe come back and test this low. But for whatever reason, the bottom just completely falls out of it. And so if you catch this trade, you're in pretty good shape. Like I said, you might argue for this one to be green. I think you're taking a huge risk there. I'm not even going to mark it. And we just continue lower. I did give this one a green, although I'm not crazy about it either. But that's such a huge bullish bar there, and we're so far away from the EMA. We're so far done there that you know, it's worth, maybe if you catch it, you probably catch a major low, or at least you're going to probably catch it until we, at some point, we're going to come back and test this breakout. Notice we did. It looks like we're going to go lower again, and then it heads up instead of going lower. But I like that for your reversal, that it comes back and it tries to go lower again. It's almost a repeat pattern of this over here. It's a little steeper and a little larger, but it's kind of the same deal. There probably weren't quite enough people convinced that maybe we were reversing yet, and then when you get that last little trap, it looks like it took a little minute to go up, but that's because this line right here. Notice also there's a short, I've got a straight one off those first two swings that are a little different, but the way I got this spike in channel was, notice how that fits right there, and notice how this one was not fitting. And so even though it's probably legitimate short-term trend line, you had something going over here. So I just copied it, and you drag it over, and there it is. So you got a spike in channel is what you've got there, and you're moving up. You get what looks like a close here, but that's not convincing. And then you finally get a close outside. You actually get two legs down. One leg correction, then there's two legs in that second leg. But it's more sideways than it is down. And you can see that's a perfect measured, two measured perfect legs there. So, but we're more going sideways than anything. And so when it fails out of there after two legs down, it's not a great signal bar, so I didn't make it blue. But you're probably going to at least come back up and test this and try to make a new high. And if this is indeed a range day or a reversal pattern, we're probably going much higher. So, so you might consider entering there. There's enough reasons to, you know, be a little aggressive there, but that late in the day, especially if I'd have caught this and made some pretty good money, I believe I'd skip that, because you really should have been in way back here, and you could have ridden this one all the way up. I doubt I'm gonna. This is more going sideways than really backing up, so you might have held on here if you entered in one of these two spots. But that's really it today. So again, even though we had some nice movement today, there's not a lot of setups. I mean, this whole move right here, it started around 10:15, just a little after 10, and so it only lasted about 15 or 20, 15 minutes or so, and then boom, we reversed real quick. So that is a quick, fast move, and we haven't seen anything like that lately. So it was kind of an interesting move. I'm kind of curious what happened, if there was some news item or something. But like I said, I don't ever fool with that stuff. It's not going to help you, and I'm just going to go look. I'm curious, and if I see anything, I'll come back and talk about it. I'm going to just pause. Okay, according to the news, Trump Jr. released some emails that some traders were concerned would further implicate Trump in this Russian issue. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, that's why you don't watch the news. I mean, I'm convinced, it's my personal opinion, that they write the news to fit the price action. So, just like I was curious why this sold off, the people that write news looked for something to determine what caused this. And maybe the emails did cause it, but it's just ridiculous because, we sold off on the concern, but by the end of the day, we traded higher. So, you almost always take this stuff back. So, when you do see these huge news sell offs like this, um, at some point it's going to reverse and take most, and usually it's in the very same day. Very rarely do you ever get a big sell off like this that continues, unless there's really something, unless there's really something to the news. But stuff on like rumors and all that, prices almost always take it back within the hour. So this reversed right before 10:30, and by 11 o'clock we'd taken most of it back. By 1 o'clock we'd taken all of it back completely. By 2 o'clock we'd made a new high compared to where we sold off at. So um, don't get caught up in that news stuff. And if you know a big news item is coming out, you probably want to be flat so you don't get caught off guard. But when something surprising happens like this, just sit on the sides until it calms down again, and or until you get your reversal pattern, because it's almost always going to take it back. And so if you miss this, you could get a chance to get on and ride it back up. So anyway, it is interesting to you always wonder why something like that happens, and there's always some crazy rumor or some emails were released, and it affects the market like that. So generally when that happens, traders are nervous to begin with. So right now maybe this is just a nervous market, but it got us some movement. Either way, the price action still works. We were going sideways. We had a failed break out the upper side, and generally you'll get a failed breakout a lot of times multiple ways. And really, you probably could look, here's your overnight low, so you really got a little failed break lower here, and then a failed break out the high side of this little trading range across here. More of the price action fits in right here, and that's your low at that point. So that's why I moved mine down eventually. And so there's the big sell off, and then there's the big reversal that takes it all back. So yeah, not much else I can say about today. Just kind of an odd day. But there were some opportunities. Not a lot of entries, but there's some opportunities. And you only need 1 or 2 trades a day. If you can catch something like this and catch a runner, you only need 1 a day. And you always, on these failed breakouts or these traps on the far sides of these ranges, always try to keep a runner on those, because many times those are important highs or lows for the day. You don't know, you might get an important low here. Turns out you don't. But you might get an important low, a high up here. Turns out you did, and look, and if you catch this, look what happens. And if you catch a runner off that, look what you get. So just remember that. That's when we're going sideways. Generally, I don't hold runners unless there's traps or failed breaks on the far sides. And most all your entries are going to be either on the highs going short or the lows going long. And most people trade it just the opposite, and they get burned, and they can't figure out why they keep losing. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.